Paul from Trending, Who, What, Where, and When. Today I will be speaking with the author, Charlene Walters, MBA, PhD, about her book, Launch Your Inner Entrepreneur. Charlene will be joining us from Charlotte, North Carolina, USA.
Hey everyone, I'm Charlene Walters. I'm the author of Launch Your Inner Entrepreneur, about entrepreneurial mindset for women. And I'm so excited to publish this book because I want to help women out there really get control of their earnings, their livelihoods, and their lives through entrepreneurship. I'm coming to you from Charlotte, North Carolina, from Romare Burden Park. As you can see, it's right in the heart of things, a really beautiful spot, and also the home of the Charlotte Knights Stadium right across the street. Thank you so much for joining me for this interview and for checking out my book, Launch Your Inner Entrepreneur.
So I'll start by asking you to tell us your favorite spots in and around your home in Charlotte, North Carolina, where you would take your family and friends when they come to visit.
So one of the coolest places in Charlotte, I think, is the Whitewater Rafting Center, which was an Olympic trial. They set it up during the Olympics here. And it's so cool because you can go on these rafts and go down these kind of man-made rapids, and it's super fun. So I always tell people that because it's one of the coolest places I've ever seen. There's Romare Burden Park, which is uptown. That's really beautiful. It's across from the Charlotte Knights Stadium. You kind of have this nice little park in the middle of all the big buildings. There's Carowinds Amusement Park, so you can do that with your family. We also have Belk Theater, and there's a wonderful shopping mall at South Park that has a lot of great brands, and people really enjoy shopping there too. So lots to do in Charlotte.
It sounds like it. It sounds like a lot of fun.
It is. It definitely is.
I loved reading Launch Your Inner Entrepreneur. Your book is filled with actionable ideas that would greatly assist new entrepreneurs in building their own businesses. You reveal easy to follow and understand procedures that would lead your readers forward while also inspiring them to get the most out of their efforts in their new business venture. You are an entrepreneurial coach, business and branding mentor, author, and trainer. You developed a digital entrepreneurial MBA program, serve as a mentor for Entrepreneur Magazine's Ask an Expert forum, and through your own consulting business, www.charlenewalters.com, are featured among other CEOs, influencers, and celebrities on the BAM network, and were selected as one of 150 marketers to follow by Rubicity. Would you please share with us in some outlets that you've been quoted in?
Yeah, so I am lucky to have contributed to a lot of outlets. Some of them include Entrepreneur, Forbes, Business Insider, Women's Day, Thrive Global, Business News Daily, Authority Magazine, UpJourney, and more. I just really like to get out there and contribute ideas and help others become thought leaders as well. So I've been fortunate to have been able to contribute my thoughts in a lot of places.
Would you please tell us about your personal journey to get where you are now?
So I am one of those people that have always wanted to be an author. Since the time I was little, I said, I'm going to be an author. And in fourth grade, my teacher even selected me to be published, a little short story I wrote. I always had that bug, but sort of as life goes along, we sort of get away from what we plan to do. I was an English major in college, and that was my goal, was to become a writer. But then I ended up in sales and started learning more and more about business. I went back to school and got an MBA and then a PhD in marketing. And I got involved working in higher ed. And I did that for a long time. And I was writing curriculum, writing courses. And then I was at lunch one day with a colleague, and he said he was writing a book. And I thought, oh, yes, he's writing a book. I've got to get back on writing my book. And I decided that day to start writing a memoir because I have been through an experience of personal tragedy where my husband passed away when my kids were really small. And I thought, you know what, I really have something important to say. So I sort of launched into writing that book. And then the more I was talking to people, they kept telling me, you should write a business book. And I thought, really? So I decided to also start writing a business book. So I had been working in higher ed. I created a digital entrepreneurship MBA program. So I got really involved with working with entrepreneurs and also through Entrepreneur Magazine. So I decided, okay, this is where my book is. So I started looking what was out there, and there wasn't a lot on entrepreneurial mindset for women. So that's why I started writing this book. And that's why I ended up right here today talking to you.
How and where do you get the energy for all of these projects?
I have no idea. Well, I've always had a high amount of energy and I've always been super ambitious. So I always just start with setting goals. And like I said, it's always been a goal of mine to write. So I do it a lot, writing on the nights and on the weekends and whenever it fits in. And sometimes you'll be surprised at how quickly you can get organized and get things together. So I fit it in when I can.
Well, tell us about your book, Launch Your Inner Entrepreneur.
It's about how to develop an entrepreneurial mindset for women. Basically, those things they need to know in order to take action, to launch their business, to have an entrepreneurial attitude, which is that attitude they need to keep moving forward, to overcome setbacks, to have the confidence to put themselves out there and really set goals and stick with it for the long haul.
You spoke about mindset shifts in your book quite a bit. Could you tell us about that?
I go over through 10 mindset shifts. So, really being successful as an entrepreneur or anything in life is really just changing the way you think about it. You can see, it's like that half full, half empty glass, right? So, you have to, every time you get into something, you just have the tenacity to kind of stick with your goals no matter what. And it's hard. It's hard for people to just jump into entrepreneurship. That's why the first step is taking action, right? Because we as people, we all want to be entrepreneurs. We all want to own our own businesses, but we don't want to give up that nice paycheck we're getting every week. So it's sort of hard to do that. In the book, really, is just about formulating your goals, sticking with them, and then developing in confidence, tenacity, building presence, branding, and just using the new way of thinking just to propel yourself forward and your business forward.
I noticed that you mentioned in your book that you managed to save enough money that when you segued from being working different places into going into entrepreneurship for yourself, you were able to do it because you had saved enough money to do that.
Yeah, I generally recommend that everybody start as a side hustle, which is what I did. That's a good way to get your kind of your planning, your groundwork laid out for your business to sort of gain traction and figure out where you want to go. Because otherwise, you're sort of just kind of scrambling. So do as much as you can before you leave that position. Maybe you'll permanently keep it as a side hustle, maybe not. But I always recommend that people do that and also save money so you have a little bit of a nest egg and you're not panicking about getting sales. Obviously, concentrating on revenue generating activities is something you should be doing as an entrepreneur. But if you've saved money and sort of started as a side hustle, it'll be a little easier to kind of move into that.
I think that's really good advice.
Yeah, I think so too.
So you talked about cultivating financial confidence in your book.
Yes. So, in terms of cultivating financial confidence, there's been a lot of studies out there that found that women are a little less confident when it comes to money mindset than men. And it just has to do with how we were brought up. Sometimes maybe our parents taught us that money was the root of all evil, or maybe we've had problems with credit card, or, something in our past that's making us feel this way. So we really have to just kind of change the way we're thinking, learn to love money, know that it's good for us, and really concentrate on those activities that are going to bring money in. I talk to a lot of entrepreneurs and they're so busy putting up their website, getting their marketing materials, building their social media that sometimes they forget to really go after the sales, which is really what's going to drive that business in the long run.
You talked about branding and building presence.
Yeah. So when it comes to branding and building presence, that's another tough spot sometimes for women and for people in general. So we're taught a little bit to be a little more modest, to not put ourselves out there. We kind of look sometimes as that self promotion as bragging, and we're kind of just averse to that in some ways. But if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you are front and center. So you have to be out there networking and kind of interacting with others. So sometimes that's a little bit to get over, but it has to do with kind of not worrying about what others think of you and really just doing what's best for you and your business and kind of joining those conversations. The more you network in groups on social media, the more opportunities will eventually come to you.
You also spoke about leveraging social media options.
Yeah, so I think it can get overwhelming for people with all the social media options out there. So, what I always recommend in the beginning is to concentrate maybe on 2 or 3 platforms that you'll find your audience that you can build really well. And then eventually you might get to the point where you can move on to others and really focus there as well. Maybe you'll outsource social media to some extent. But I think that's the thing you have to pay attention to. And just all of the platforms are slightly different. So it comes to finding out about your target audience, what they like, where they're at, what the messaging to them should be. And so a lot of that section of my book is really about the different platforms and how you can really resonate with your target audience on each of them.
The part about leading your startup I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, so leadership, we've a lot of us have worked in the corporate world or in other positions, and many of us have been managers, but sometimes it's a little different when you're the main boss, right? You're leading your whole team. So I've found through my experience as a leader that the best thing you can really do is to lead with flexibility and empathy and really kind of embrace that team spirit. A lot of times we don't put enough effort into building that team. And I think that's critical because, particularly as a small business, everybody has to sort of pitch in, roll up their sleeves. You'll all be wearing different hats. So it's important, really, especially in today's world of COVID, to be flexible because people are going through a lot right now.
You talked about going into growth mode.
Yeah. So, it seems like you'd have to just do everything once, but being an entrepreneur is just a constant journey. It's back, forth, up and down. So you have to just keep going and keep reinventing and keep innovating and being creative. So, sometimes you feel like, okay, I've gotten a certain way, everything's perfect right now, but then the market changes or there's new technology or your customers change. So it's really about continuing to put yourself out there, find out what other people are doing. And I recommend just not sticking only within your industry. Sometimes we get our best ideas when we're listening to people that are in other industries that are different than us, because something they say or do could spark an idea in us. So I recommend, trying to do other activities too, such as working out, meditating, and listening to podcasts from people that are different than you, because this will inspire you to keep kind of building and growing as an entrepreneur. And you need to do that in business because business is relentless.
Rebooting, repeating, and avoiding burnout along the way.
Yeah, so it's hard sometimes as an entrepreneur, because that business is your baby. And particularly for women, because they also many times are the head of their household. So they're also trying to balance their family. And when that happens, they kind of put themselves last, which is not good because they need to have enough sleep. They need to be eating well, exercising, taking care of themselves, or else they can't take care of all these other different areas of their lives. And the happier and more well rested they are, as counterintuitive as it may seem, it's actually better for their business. They can be more productive and they can talk more confidently and effectively about their business. And repeating again is just repeating the different areas of the different mindset shifts that I talk about in the book, because it's not one and done. It's not like, okay, I've got the entrepreneurial attitude or I've overcome setbacks. It'll just keep going back and forth. So you just have to keep revisiting. Some of it might sound simple, but it's those simple things sometimes that we forget along our journey.
I think your explanation of burnout was the best. I'd never read one as good as that before.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Then you all of a sudden realize exactly what people are talking about with burnout and thinking, I did that. I was there. Okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah, it's burnout is something that we really all have to be careful of in life. And it just comes from when we're focusing too much of any one area of our life, is particularly as business owners tend to do that. We tend to focus, focus, focus. And now during COVID, especially because we have so much time at home, we could just sit parked permanently in our offices, our home offices all day and never get up. So we have to really be mindful of taking time for other areas because it really does make us more effective in the long run.
Is there any passage from your book that you would like to read and share with us?
Sure. Let me pull it up right now. I thought about this and thought about what I'd like to share. And I thought maybe it would be best to start at the beginning because it sort of sets the tone for the whole book. So I will read the beginning. So one day you will be happily working for someone else, exceeding monthly goals and growing their profits. And then another day you'll realize that you're not getting the recognition or opportunities that you deserve. It's at that moment that you'll wonder why the heck you're doing this to yourself. And bam, your entrepreneurial light bulb will begin to glow. Are you a woman who wants to take control of your earnings in your life? Are you dissatisfied with the corporate grind and want to follow your passions professionally? Are you tired of getting paid less than your peers for doing the same work? I've been there before and I know what you're experiencing. Perhaps you've already struck out on your own as an entrepreneur, or maybe you hope to do so in the near future. It's a big jump either way, and you'll need extra support to give it your best shot. If you're like many women, myself included, you're also the primary breadwinner in your household and have a burning desire to bring in additional income for your family. I don't blame you. You want to take care of them and give them the best that you can. If any of these statements ring true, then this is the book for you, and now is the time to take action, as there will be many new business opportunities for female entrepreneurs resulting from morphing industries in the aftermath of COVID-19. You deserve this chance. You won't be alone either. More women are starting businesses than ever before. In fact, 42% of all small business or franchise owners are women, and there are 13 million female-owned businesses contributing to 1.9 trillion in revenue. Current trends suggest it's likely these numbers will keep rising, so it's time for you to grab your share of the revenue, and today is the day to get started. Your transformation will begin in the mind. After all, entrepreneurship is an inside job. If you're a woman who is ready to take the plunge into becoming a company founder, then there are important mental shifts that you must make before you kick off your journey. You must put aside your insecurities and doubts about the success or failure of your venture, as well as the fears associated with no longer receiving a steady paycheck, so that you can move forward to become an effective business owner. This is a tall order, but taking action is the first of 10 mindset shifts you'll read about in this book that you must embrace as a fempreneur, a female entrepreneur, if you not only want to make that initial leap, but also hope to continue to grow and expand your business over time, launching your inner entrepreneur and unleashing the startup within.
Please tell us about any upcoming future books you might be thinking about.
So as I mentioned before, I wrote another book, a memoir about my experience kind of overcoming tragedy and loss and kind of embracing life as a single mom. And that will probably be the next one that I publish. It's tentatively titled Own Your Other, but titles are only that tentative. And the next one after that, I have two daughters, and one, my 15-year-old Avery, and I have decided that we're going to write a book together. We're kind of back and forth about the content, but it will be something along the lines of thinking about entrepreneurship as a teen, I believe.
Oh, that would be unique.
Yeah, I think
Interesting.
it'll be great to work with my daughter too. So I think I'm really looking forward to that one.
Would you share with us any advice that you would have for new writers?
Yeah, so I think if you have a desire to become a writer, now's the time. There are so many different publishing options more than ever before. You can self-publish, you can go with a hybrid publisher, you can go with a traditional publisher. I went with a traditional publisher, and if that's what you'd like to do, there's a few steps you can take. Part of it is growing your presence online, your thought leadership, developing your social media profiles so that you have a sort of a following and people get to know you. And then you should start by looking at books that are already on the market and seeing where you might be able to offer something different And then start by writing a book proposal about your target audience, about what the book will be about, the table of contents. And then you just have to set aside the time to really work on it. So nights, weekends, whenever you have a chance, some people like to get up early and dedicate it a few hours each morning. Some people are more about the weekends, whenever you can fit it into your schedule. And you can do it. I know it sounds overwhelming in the beginning, but if you just think about it in chunks, maybe a chapter at a time here and there, it's not as overwhelming. And absolutely, if you're interested, I think you should go for it. There are always two pieces of advice that I give to everyone out there in business as entrepreneurs. And the first one is that, I really want to tell people that they can do anything that they put their mind to. It's all about just having the right attitude and being confident and just keep moving forward. No matter what obstacles you hit, you can achieve whatever you want. Again, just think that you can do it, know that you can do it, and stick with it. Set those goals and just keep going. And then the second piece of advice, and we've talked a lot about this before, but it's really just to take care of yourself. Make sure that you are focusing on different areas of your life. Life is short. You never know how long you have. So you have to enjoy those people that are important for you. Many times we're so busy with work and other things that we say we're going to get to that one day, but we never know when that last day is. So I always tell people, make sure you're balanced and really taking time for people and other things that are important for you too.
A good tool for a lot of people starting in business.
Oh,
Been in business for a number of years that need to look back and reconsider how they're doing things.
yeah, that's what, some of it seems like it's common sense, but even myself, I find myself like I have to follow my own advice too, because it's basics, but it's basics that you need to keep, reminding yourself of no matter where you are in the journey.